Mark. He's a very good friend of mine, and so I decided to train him as a favor he asked me.
So he had me on, a certain diet and trained me 6 days a week. I worked out with him for 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of my interview with legendary martial artist and actor Mark Dacascos. In this one, we're going to talk about how he built his best body ever. Now, obviously that's subjective, but since I grew up with Commando and Rambo and those kind of movies, I always preferred like a little more muscle, which he had and built for only the strong. But of course, Mark has always been in great shape for all his movies, and he continues to be to this day. But anyway, I wanted to get all the info I could about how he built that physique. Now, if you want more info on Only the Strong, make sure to check out Sheldon Lettich's book, From Vietnam to Van Damme. There's a nice section on Only the Strong. Also, check out my Only the Strong playlist, which I'll link in the description below, because basically I interviewed Sheldon, I interviewed writer Luis Esteban, I interviewed amazing villain Paco Christian Piret, and of course, Mark Dacascos. Speaking of which, make sure to check out part 1 of the interview, where he talks about his entering into the world of Capoeira, Only the Strong, and then a traumatic experience on the set of that film. But anyway, let's get on to this part 2 interview. And of course, if you like this kind of content, please help support the channel, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video. Going back to the Special Forces character, he's in good shape. Now I know Sheldon, kind of said, hey, this is the 90s, these action guys are kind of like a little more muscular. Let's start lifting weights, getting some muscle. So I really want to talk about, because I feel like you had such an amazing body. So not only did your martial arts inspire me when I was like in middle school, going into high school, but your physique did as well. So let's talk about that. Like, how much did you weigh prior? How much did you weigh prior to Only the Strong, and how much did you end up weighing in the movie?
Right. I am not exactly sure, but my guess is that whatever I was, by the time we started shooting, I was 8 to 10 pounds heavier with less body fat.
About 3 weeks ago or so, we tested Mark's body fat, and for his age and height, it should have been like 12.6. His body fat was actually 8.9% body fat. So we're way below what it should be. It's really nice and tight, really low fat.
Oh,
you were shredded.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I have to thank Ev Carillon. He was one of the actors I worked with on Conan the Barbarian, the live show at Universal Studios. He had an amazing build. He played Big Conan, and me, when I was there, I played Little Conan. I played Conan when he was 14. So Ev, the producers hired Ev to get me in, more muscular shape.
I'm Ev Carillon, and right now I'm training Mark. I've been training him for the last 3 months or so. Yeah, seems to be coming along very well. I don't normally train people except for Mark. He's a very good friend of mine, and so I decided to train him as a favor he asked me. So
he had me on, a certain diet and trained me 6 days a week. I worked out with him for 90 minutes to 2 hours, 6 days a week, and then I had Mr. Amen in the afternoons and evenings.
He trains us hard, because whatever we do is a direct reflection of what he teaches. So this is it.
But yeah, it was a very specific diet of putting on muscle while still being functional and flexible. Yeah, it was intense.
Hey Mark, was it just like a balanced diet where you had like a lot of like leaner proteins, complex carbs, fruits and vegetables, or was it one of those more crazy, like, oh, you can't eat any of this and you can only eat this type diet?
Right. Well, at the time, I remember that Ev wanted me to stay on 20 grams of fat or less.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's very little. It's very low. If you look it up, if you look at, ingredients on whatever, you go, wow, 20 grams of fat or less. So, lots of veggies. In the morning, I had some oatmeal and some eggs. I can't remember specifically, but he had it very specific. I had 3 main meals, and then I had 3 little snacks in between. So it was like, 3,
like 6 meals a day, basically, in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. yeah, three regular meals and then 3 smaller snackies in between, you know, just to put that weight on. And yeah, but it was a lot of food with a lot of training, and it was intense. And it was different for me because, you know, I personally, I feel better and I feel like I move better when I'm very, very light. That's what I prefer. That's my preference. I'm also not used to eating so much.
Imagine doing this every day. Oh man.
And that was, you know, it's funny because like my brother's a lot taller than me. There's three brothers. Our middle brother, he's a lot taller. And so his whole thing is like, I want to gain weight. And for me, I'm always wanting to lose it because less weight I have, it's easier for me to move, you know? So it's just a different idea. But yes, for only the strong, with the trend of being more muscular and bigger, Sheldon definitely wanted me to put on weight. So I did my best, and I think you know, Ev had me training.
I mean, I work out hard anyway, but this training in particular is for only the strong. Ev wants me to be cut, but not bulky. It looks better on screen. It gets me strong.
Lean and mean, as they say.
And I had to keep the weight, but still flip and do the moves, you know.
How long did it take you to gain those 8 to 10 pounds?
So the thing was, I was already, you know, for me, I was already in functional shape. And then, let's see, I got the movie, I auditioned in January. I think they hired me officially in February.
Okay.
And then we were supposed to shoot in July, but because of the hurricane, I forgot what it was called, which hurricane that was. But because of that, we pushed until possibly, yeah, I think that sounds familiar. I think Andrew. So we pushed until October. So I had from February, and then we started filming the beginning of October, and build a musculature that Sheldon was happy with.
Okay, cool. And I like to really go deep in detail, by the way. And I'm really into like lifting weights. And a lot of people want to know this. Now, you said you were.
I can tell you're in good shape.
Oh, thanks. I do what I can. So you know, you said again, motivated by people like you and Van Damme and Arnold and, you know, those guys. But and obviously Stallone, he's one of my favorites too. Okay, so 6 days a week, like say up to 90 minutes of lifting weights. How was the split?
90 minutes to 2 hours. You know?
90 minutes to 2 hours. How was the actual split? As in, were you hitting each body part twice a week, or was it 3 times a week, or just hitting everything once a week and doing like arms for that long, or what? Do you remember?
That's a good question. I remember that he switched it up 2 or 3 different times, maybe even more. You know, he was a professional bodybuilder, so you know, I trust that he looked fantastic. So that was his proof.
Sure.
That was the proof. But I remember him switching it up a few times at least. And I can't remember exactly what we did, but we probably did it all in those months.
Yeah, and it's good to switch it up every few months. You know, you got to keep your body guessing, get it shocked.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool stuff. As far as like you said, you like to be lighter, especially with all the acrobatics and everything. So it sounds like after Only the Strong, you didn't really continue lifting weights anymore.
The crazy thing was after Only the Strong, I went to Double Dragon. So this is the thing. So in Only the Strong, Sheldon wanted me big. And then in Double Dragon, I'm supposed to play a 19-year-old, right? So, you know, I thought just character-wise, it didn't seem right for that character. You know, of course, you know, I think in the video game, he's more buff. Oh, sure. So I suppose you could have gone that route. But I thought at the time, I was already 28 years old. And I'm playing like you know, in the script-wise, it was a younger guy. So I dropped the 8 or 10 pounds, and then did a lot of pull-ups, handstands. I went back to more of my routine, dropped the weight. And a lot of people thought that maybe I was sick or something. I wasn't sick. I was just preparing for Double Dragon.
Different role, yeah, different character.
Yeah. And then after Double Dragon, I went to Crying Freeman, where Christoph Gans kind of wanted to split the difference. So yeah, I changed up my diet and did a different workout for that as well. You know, I like to change my physicality and looks and everything to the character. And the martial arts, I want to change the martial arts that fits the character. For me, it's character and story first, and then I work from there. You know.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's kind of like the approach that Christian Bale would take to the extreme, where he went from like the machinist. I think he was like 98 pounds, and then he played Batman, and he was, you know, probably bigger than me. So he went from one extreme to the other based on the character, which is quite interesting. As far as like martial arts training, I wanted to ask you this as well. How long did you continue, or did you continue training capoeira after Only the Strong?
Okay, so after Only the Strong, the good and the bad of it was that I continued working as an actor. The bad of it is that I couldn't make it back to capoeira classes. So I always tried to maintain the basics of doing the jinga and roles and, you know, the cartwheels and some of the meiluas, some of the kicks.
It's the basis for moves like this. And this.
But in terms of actually going back to class, that was the only time that I had a longer period where I could train with a group and with mestre consistently. So, you know, really, I've stayed at my very beginner status. You know, I'm still very much a beginner in capoeira, but I have even more appreciation and love for it now, even more.
Wow!
And I always had a lot of it, but you know, looking at the art now, and you know, me getting older. Look, I'm 58 now. I did that movie when I was 28. It's been 30 years, and you know, I've traveled the world. And I've continued to work, and Mestre Amin and I are still very, very close friends, and I'm still his student. And occasionally I'm able to go in there and take a class, but I have not trained consistently like that since we did the movie, which is sad for me, but there seems to be a nice wave, a resurgence of people, you know, finding the movie and still talking about it. And I know that there's some very serious talk about us doing a sequel and or a series. And now I'm, the older guy, obviously, and I've got a son or a daughter or, students, or maybe I've gone back to capoeira again, and we bring some of the characters back. But there's a lot of interest, serious interest, from people who could actually make it happen, to continue on the story. So we'll see.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And then you could finally, I know you stayed in contact with Master Amen this whole time, but you could finally go back to his classes, right? Perfect excuse. Hey, we're doing a sequel. Let's train together.
There was a long glitch.
Yeah, no, that seems to be the theme today. But it's good enough.
Okay.
We got good. I could edit all that.
Okay.
Stuff out. So and play clips for Only the Strong in there, obviously. But
all right.
Wow, that's exciting. So the talk about the potential sequel, did you give any input yourself into say, hey, I think my character should be doing this now, or were these ideas from Louise and Sheldon just kind of like thrust on you, or did you kind of give any input? I think we should go in this direction, guys. In the next episode, part 3 of my interview with Mark Dacascos, we'll of course talk about the potential Only the Strong sequel, as well as a few other things, so make sure to subscribe if you're not yet subscribed, because you don't want to miss that.